the champagne to pour herself some. And then she stopped. And she went, Jeffrey, come get me some champagne. She does not pour her own champagne. And she wants a bottle of red. They're getting loose on this beach.
A little bit. I mean, and I like to think of that as there was an issue on a jet ski. She tweaked her hand a little bit, probably going too hard on the throttle, or she went to adjust her side mirror or went to turn up some music. I believe that Chumbawamba's Tub Thumping came out in 97, so she's probably went to crank it on the jet ski, missed it by a little bit, pinched it with like the webbing of her fingers, and now she can't pour herself some champagne.
Cause that actually holds true because Tub Thumping, that song was banned from jet skiing in 98, so it was still legal at this time. All right, yeah, I like that. Oh man, that poor kid. Kid got mauled. Last question. Go for it.
No. Go ahead.
What dinosaur? You're a mercenary. Your family knows you're there. Everyone knows you're there. You're in 97. You break the NDA and you just tell everybody at your bar and your local bar and everywhere that you are going to Dinosaur Island. Turns out you get eaten on Dinosaur Island. How would you like to go on Dinosaur Island?
See, the thing is, what dinosaur do you go with?
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to you don't want to be stepped on by a brontosaurus. Nick got stepped on by a brontosaurus? Like, what was he doing?
And you don't want to end up like Ned did in the first film. Where was that? Dilophosaurus?
Oh gosh, that's a slow, horrible death.
Yeah, where it just goes spraying in your face. I'd like to go out impaled by a triceratops.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it gets me, but I get it too. So it's like a murder-suicide thing. The triceratops kills me for sure. But in a way, it creates its own suicide because I'm going to mad dog that triceratops. Like, I'm going to find a knife or some kind of soft pallet or tissue under the neck and just have at it.
So you're going to be impaled on a triceratops and then stab it to death?
Yeah, like they get my right leg with their first horn, and then to the right, that horn's going to catch my left arm, right? And so it's a double impale. But I'm reaching under with my right, and I'm just stabbing it right in the neck, just letting them know what's up.
So this is like if LL Cool J was able to kill the shark with his cross crucifix in Deep Blue Sea.
Yes.
But you finished the job.
Exactly. I mean, you have to. When you're Mad Dogging, you finish jobs. Mad Dogs don't do things halfway.
Wow. That's a 15-minute scene of you just stabbing, because that hide is very tough. That's
aggressively.
That's irreversible hardcore, is what we're about to be watching.
Yeah. And it's near Kramer versus Kramer levels of stabbing, because they hit 74, 75, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're at least in the 50s, cracking into the 60s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your blood gets in the Triceratops' eyes.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh no, I can't see.
You both just perish off of a cliff.
Oh, man. That would actually be kind of cool. We Thelma and Louise it. We just I weirdly hold its paw.
One of the guys who gets back from the island, and I'm friends with him as well. Man, you would not believe how Nick went down on this. Oh, gosh. So I'll be real quick with mine because mine's jet ski adjacent.
Ooh, here we go.
Would want to be on a jet ski, and I would want a megalodon to come up and try to eat me. But I would just full throttle it into the megalodon's mouth before it had time to chew down. So I would just go right in there with the jet ski. I would somehow light a fuse because Patrick Wilson put some Monster Energy drink and diesel gasoline into this jet ski and blow a hole through the side of the megalodon, like in Waterworld. Now, as I'm crawling out, there's a lot of blood and guts and debris, and as I'm swimming out, a shark gets me.
Now, here's a question. Would you have something where during the chase, you cut a hard right, the megalodon goes before you, and as it peeks out of the water, would you use then the upper body of the megalodon as a ramp and launch yourself off of it?
Into the mouth of another megalodon?
Yeah. This is the greatest day of my... Oh, no!
Look at me! And you're watching from the shore? I think he could make it.
It's like in, what is it, Angry Birds 2, when that little chihuahua gets launched out of an ice cube and it's like, yeah, I'm not Ice Cube anymore, and then immediately plunges into the frozen water.
I didn't ever see that.
What? Oh, dude.
Is that a movie? Is that the movie?
Yeah, Angry Birds 2. It's in the movie.
All right,
There's I use the seal GIF at least once a week. It's honestly worth it for the seal alone. I think if you just do YouTube and type Angry Birds 2 seal, SEAL, or SEEL, it doesn't matter. Yeah, SEEL. Just get ready for some laughter.
Okay.
Because it is so funny.
Oh, I can't wait. I know if you like it, I'll like it.
That's true. It's just so, like, I didn't expect to enjoy. I think that's the only reason I enjoyed the movie was because of the seal.
Okay. So it sealed the deal for you.
Yes,
so bad. So, you know that The Lost World Jurassic Park is only one of 4 movies that Spielberg has made that is currently rotten on the tomato meter?
Really?
Yeah. First is 1941. Then
I was going to say it had to have been that one.
Twilight Zone the movie, he did a segment. Hook, which is 29%, and The Lost World, which is 53%.
Huh.
How does that sit with you? Do you think this movie is a 50, so critics, 50-50 split with critics, let's say. 50% liked it, 50 didn't. Where do you sit?
I'm with the like it. And I can understand why they didn't, because if you look at Spielberg's filmography leading up to that, right? He goes from Jurassic Park, which everybody loves, to Schindler's List, real heavy. Then you pull out with Lost World, and they're like, hey, we're having fun. We're going back to be a big, fun, easygoing action piece. And then he immediately turns it around and hits you with Amistad, which is, another heavy film, and then Saving Private Ryan. So you have all of these films that are, very intense, and they teach you and have you look inside yourself, the psychology of man, inherent nature of evil, et cetera, et cetera. But in between that, we've got the Lost World Jurassic Park, and we're having fun. It's a big, not fun, but it's a big action epic that he hadn't done in a while.
It is quite refreshing, too. And on the rewatch for this, I noticed how every movie has scenes, but this movie seems to just be a collection of scenes, if that makes sense. The narrative, it's not the tightest narrative. It just seems it goes from set piece to set piece. And I guess I mean that when, like, Dr. Ian Malcolm, there's really no character development. And they don't need it. It's a day or two. Vince Vaughn disappears. The daughter disappears. Julianne Moore disappears. Like, nobody learns any lessons in this movie. There's no Sam Neill with the kid. Like, it's not like an A-B. This movie's just sort of a collection of scenes, but I think that's what makes it so rewatchable for me, because you can just step in and it's on TBS, and no matter where you come in, you're like, oh man, the caravan, or the what would you call it? The cliff scene is coming up, or the tall grass scene is coming up.
RV kind of thing. Yeah.
And so I just thought, I'm not saying every movie needs character development, because they don't, but it's really interesting that this movie is just Spielberg having some fun, like you said. And he said, what's interesting? He said, my sequels aren't as good as my originals because I go into every sequel I've made and I'm too confident. This movie made $1 gazillion, which justifies the sequel. So I come in like that's going to be a slam dunk. And I wind up making an inferior movie to the one before. And he said, I'm talking about The Lost World and Jurassic Park. But then I got thinking about it. And I really don't like how people treated this movie when it came out, because they were saying it's not as good as Jurassic Park. Which, what movies are as good as Jurassic Park? Nick, you're an NBA player. Nick, the Missile Rehack Mad Dog the Third.
Yeah.
That's a big name.
It's a great name, though. Big name, big shoes, big championship right here. All day dropping threes. Sorry, I'm in basketball mode. All day dropping threes. I don't know what you want me to do.
One day you put up 87 points, and you guys win the game, and everyone just thinks this was an amazing game. The next night you come out, you drop 40. People aren't going to look at that and be like, that's a terrible game. That's not as good as yesterday's game, because your 87 points is an anomaly. That, like, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kobe, LeBron, those games are so rare that no one expects someone to go out and do that every night. So when people came out to watch The Lost World, I read so many critic, audience, IMDb things not as good as Jurassic Park, and that's such. I find a lot of, for lack of a better word, a lack of creativity there, because you it won't be as good as Jurassic Park. You can't. Like, and the very few sequels have been better. Like Godfather 2, sure. Scream 2, I like. But many people like Empire Strikes Back. But that's it. That's like whenever it was a better sequel. Well, maybe John Wick 2. Well, yeah, maybe Captain America Winter Soldier.
The Raid 2.
Thor Ragnarok. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You and I just name about 40 back to back. But I just don't. What do you think about that? I just think it's such. It was on such a pedestal that there's no way this movie's going to live up to that.
Well, I think it's a cop-out. I think it's a really easy thing to say. And they're not making another Jurassic Park. They're making a film within that world, within the Jurassic Park universe, right? That's what happened with the third one, obviously with Jurassic World, and we go back to the park and that island and area, Fallen Kingdom, and now with Dominion going on. We're just exploring the world if dinosaurs came back. The whole purpose wasn't to make another Jurassic Park. It was to say, I wonder if Ian Malcolm was put in this exact same situation again, how would he handle it? You know, it's like the Hangover and Hangover 2. Let's just put them in a different scenario and maybe mix up the people a little bit. And that's what happens here. We bring Malcolm back to a similar island. He's put into similar circumstances, but instead of it being a little more academic, now it's just survival. Because as soon as he's there, the survival instinct is on, and that's all he's trying to do. They're not trying to learn. They're not trying to – I mean, in a way, they're trying to stop the other team from, you know, essentially kidnapping and bringing in these dinosaurs for a profit. They're just trying to survive because they know what's going to happen. So in a way, this is just a continuation of that story. And if you really can't think of anything outside of, you know, oh, too much CGI in this one, or, oh, I didn't like this particular actor. Okay, well, what else? Because there's a lot more to the film than the CGI and a particular actor you might not like. So I think it's an absolute cop-out. It's just an easy way to go, yeah, I didn't like it. The other one was better. And then you move on with the conversation, right? Because they're not offering anything. If they brought in your argument of saying like, oh, well, there's no character development. Okay, now we can have a conversation on that. But to just dismiss it, then what's the point? You're set in your way already, you know?
Yeah, it's just such a weird complaint about it. It's not as like, and I'm telling you that 70% of reviews said that. And it's just, I don't know. It kind of irks me. It does, because there's a lot. I remember watching this movie in '97, and my 15-year-old brain was blown when you have the tall grass scene, when you have the cheeky glass scene where the raptor jumps through the glass. You have the T-Rex smushing a guy. You have the snake on a dude getting eaten. His blood goes through the waterfall. You had Pete Postlethwaite being awesome. You had just so many fun, like the T-Rex eating the dog. It's mean, and people just getting murdered. There's a bit of a horror element to this movie. There is some, like, when, oh man, oh gosh, I got his name in the notes right here. Like the nicest dude in this movie who goes about, when Eddie saves everybody, and then he gets flipped in the air and ripped in half. There's this real mean streak for me. And watching Dieter, Spielberg said that he just wanted to kill Peter Stormare because of his character in Fargo. So he got an extended death because Spielberg saw Fargo and wanted him to die brutally.
Yeah.
But I remember when I was 15, I didn't care about being better than the original. I just was thrilled with how bloody and gory, and I mean, this is kind of a mean movie at points, and I rode along and I dug it. I didn't, I never once cared about the gymnastics in this movie. Now, Jay Cluitt, who was supposed to join us on this episode, he's my co-host on Deep Blue Sea, the podcast. Nick has been on many times. He sent me a list, and his two least favorite parts are the daughter in this movie. But I don't think her role is kind of what Kelly, Vanessa Chester. I don't think it's her fault, because Spielberg loved her in The Little Princess, and he said, I'm going to put you in a movie. So Last World comes around, he's like, I'm going to put you in this. So they just wrote her apart. She does disappear at the end, but I don't think anything that she does in this movie is her fault. But like, people have a lot of malice towards this character. What do you think about Kelly in this movie?
Oh, it's the same thing with Jake Lloyd. right?
Oh,
Nobody
yeah.
likes the little kid character. And it's like, A, they're a kid. B, they're working with the script. And C, the director liked the performance enough to keep it in there and not really change anything.